I was looking at this whole situation with Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you guys are aware of what happened with Chick-fil-A recently, but basically they announced that they aren't going to be donating to some really questionable charities. They've been donating to charities that were kind of anti-LGBT for a while. And as a result, the boycott on them from the LGBT community has continued. The owner at one point, I think the owner, maybe the CEO, some high up person forever ago, said some stuff that was really, really messed up. I remember. And they ended up coming out and apologizing and saying that the company doesn't feel that way and all this stuff. But they were boycotted as a result of what the highest up leadership said back then. And then Dan Savage, I believe. Some of you may know Dan Savage. He's got a podcast called Savage Love, I think. He's a gay dude who talks a lot about gay issues. And at the time, when Chick-fil-A apologized, he said, we should accept their apology and end the boycott because we want to give positive reinforcement when they do something right. If we just don't end the boycott, if we just continue boycotting them anyways, it's not giving any positive reinforcement, and they're just going to cut you out of the demographic that they're targeting and move on. We have to give positive reinforcement. That's what he said at the time. A lot of people said, I understand that train of thinking, that logic, but they're still supporting charities that are harmful to the LGBT community. And they refuse to eat there still. A lot of people, including me, I refuse to eat there because they were supporting charities that were not friendly to the LGBT community. So let's just give this article a read with that context in mind and see what it has to say. Chick-fil-A said on Monday that its charitable foundation will no longer donate to two Christian groups that have long opposed same-sex marriage. A spokeswoman for the fast food giant told Reuters that the business's charity, the Chick-fil-A Foundation, will no longer provide funding to the Salvation Army and to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We made multi-year commitments to both organizations, and we fulfilled those obligations in 2018, the spokeswoman told Reuters. The representative added that the foundation plans to donate to causes centered around education, homelessness, and hunger in the future. Great causes. I'm 100% on board. The spokeswoman reportedly declined to say if the move was in response to some of the protests that have targeted the chain in recent years for donations made by its charitable foundation to anti-LGBT groups. She told Reuters the move was made to create more clarity. The decision by the family-owned chain, whose CEO Dan Cathy said earlier this year that he promised his father he'd uphold Christian values and never open the chain's restaurants on Sundays, was met with opposition from conservatives online. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee said the business surrendered to anti-Christian hate groups. Hate groups, right. He said in a later tweet that the fast food chain betrayed loyal customers for money and added that he regrets believing they would stay true to convictions of founder Truett Cathy. Honestly, I was with him on the whole boycott situation. I agree. We should give positive reinforcement for correct decisions. So I was willing to eat there. It just never came up. I always had somewhere better to go to eat or some better food to eat at home. So I literally have not eaten at Chick-fil-A in a decade at least, so long. But with this development, I'm ready to eat there now. I'm ready to support this company. Even though it's a relatively Christian company, they're making the right decisions right now. They're supporting the LGBT community in many different ways. And I'm happy to see that. So I decided I was going to go eat there for the first time in 10 years the other day. I was on my way to Walmart to pick up some food and stuff, right? And there's a Chick-fil-A right next to Walmart. So I turn into Chick-fil-A. And I don't even know what's on their menu. So I'm about to roll up to the drive-thru, sit there holding up the line, looking at what's on their menu. Have not been there in so long. It was Sunday. They were closed. I still haven't eaten at Chick-fil-A. I do intend to eat there. I do intend to give Chick-fil-A positive reinforcement for the correct decisions that they're making right now in supporting the LGBT plus community and everything else. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these tweets. Mike Huckabee. The sad message of Chick-fil-A is quite clear. They surrendered to anti-Christian hate groups. Tragic. Chick-fil-A to stop donating to Christian charities. Branded anti-LGBT. Mike Huckabee's such a piece of trash. Another from Mike Huckabee. In August 2012, I coordinated a National Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day after they were being bullied by militant hate groups. Millions showed up. Millions? That's probably an overestimate. I seriously doubt millions showed up. There are only 350 million people in the country. Millions is an awfully high estimate. Anyway, whatever. So millions showed up. Let's just start there. Let's assume that millions showed up. Today, Chick-fil-A betrayed loyal customers for money. I regret believing they would stay true to convictions, of founder Truett Cathy said. Just because they made a decision that you don't like doesn't mean they made that decision for money. Look, I guess it was a quote-unquote betrayal of Christians, but it was the right thing to do, bottom line. Those Christians were wrong. Like, there's no reason to exclude people in that way. That's just messed up, man. Like, stop making people's lives more difficult. Like, these people already have a hard life, and you're making it worse. You honestly should be ashamed of yourself, Mike Huckabee. But he's not. Jesse Kelly. The LGBT bully mob is unquestionably the most powerful mob in America today. Okay. Everyone bends the knee or risk their wrath. Makes me freaking ill. I don't even know what to say about all this. Apparently, this is a retweet from Polymath, or Political Math. The main things that make me sad about this. 1. The Christian orgs Chick-fil-A donated to were genuinely good groups. Not if they were anti-LGBT. They were genuinely not good groups. This will not actually stop groups on the left from hating them because hating them is mostly about moral signaling. Moral signaling? I'm trying to advocate for what I believe to be the right thing. Why does it have to be virtue signaling? They responded, correct, and now my attitude toward Chick-fil-A is meh. It's just like every other corporation that ultimately capitulates. Sundays not far behind? ? I'd love it if they were open on Sundays. Oh my God. I would have had Chick-fil-A that day if they had been. That would be fantastic. What stupid ass moral stand are they making with this whole, Sundays thing? Whatever. Rod Dreher, I guess. Shame on you, Chick-fil-A. You are the third most successful fast food franchise in the U.S. You had no reason to capitulate, but you did. Exactly. They had no reason to capitulate. They didn't need the money. It wasn't about the money, presumably. It was about doing the right thing. From my understanding, they opened up a branch in the UK recently, and there were just extreme protests there. People were not happy that they were there. Could be wrong on this, so check the description for correction. But I think that they shut it down within days of even opening it. It did not survive its UK transition. It did not work. So they probably listened to the criticisms, realized how wrong it is what they're doing, and corrected the course to not do that anymore. That would be my guess. But if you want to say it was all about money, then fine. Say it was all about money. Whatever. At least they're doing the right thing. You had no reason to capitulate, but you did. Yes, shame on the progressive bullies too. Yet the greater shame is yours, Chick-fil-A, you cowards. Shame on the progressive bullies. Okay. I don't even know what to say about some of this stuff. The move was met with praise by some LGBT advocates, with LGBT rights campaigner Scott Cutt. Oh my God. I used to work with a dude with a last name is really similar to this. I should be able to pronounce it. Scott Cuthbertson, telling Reuters that there is always space for people to change their minds and respect LGBT plus equality. 100% agree. We don't do anyone justice by bearing anyone any grudges, he said, adding, if they want to be trusted by our community, they have to show that our rights are not up for debate. Yes. Exactly. And it's like Dan Savage said, You have to give positive reinforcement. You have to show them that you see what they did and you appreciate the gesture and that you will support them if they continue moving in that direction. There is one more article I wanted to read about this whole situation, about the Chick-fil-A situation. So let's take a quick look at it. It's by Hemant Mehta, and it's on the Friendly Atheist blog. I'm sorry, it's by Megan H., not by Hemant Mehta. It's on Hemant Mehta's blog, though, the Friendly Atheist. Twitter mocks Christian snowflakes melting down over Chick-fil-A betrayal. Right-wing Christians have been in a real snit over the past week ever since Chick-fil-A announced that it would be restructuring its charitable giving in a way that focused on hunger, homelessness, and education. That move meant no longer giving money to the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, two faith-based organizations with histories of opposition to marriage equality. That was coupled with newly public tax documents on Tuesday showing that Chick-fil-A had, in 2017, made a $2,500 donation to the Southern Poverty Law Center. While the SPLC isn't an anti-Christian group by any means, it has kept record of anti-LGBTQ hate groups that include some right-wing Christian organizations that spread lies about homosexuality. Obviously, being opposed to marriage equality isn't the issue. It's not like every evangelical church is on that list. With all that in mind, conservatives online decided to wage an all-out culture war against the restaurant chain for betraying Christians. Take Charlie Kirk, the founder of right-wing group Turning Point USA, who angrily tweeted, "Chick-fil-A betrayed us after we stood by them for years during every attack and controversy." I had not heard of Charlie Kirk before fairly recently, and I've seen him in like a lot of political debates lately. He's apparently got a really small face. Hang on. I need to find this. I need to find the tiny face and show it to everybody because it's like comically tiny. Hang on. I gotta find a good one. Okay, here we go. But look at this dude's face. It's like way too small. Look at this one. His face is too small. It doesn't fit his forehead. His forehead is way bigger than it should be. His eyes should be up here. In reality, his face isn't actually that tiny, but every time somebody makes a meme of him, they make his face just a little smaller than it actually is, and I think it's hilarious. Dear liberals, if marine life is really going extinct, why is Crabfest back at Red Lobster? Dear liberals, I'm not a racist, but I do have preconceived notions on people's ability and intelligence based on their skin color or ethnicity. Look at how tiny his face is. It's so cute. It's like a little tiny itty-bitty baby face. Oh, man. The people listening to the podcast right now, they're probably so jealous, thinking to themselves, I wish I could see this face. Just go Google Charlie Kirk tiny face, and you'll see it. Actually, in reality, his face is not that tiny. I think this is his normal face. Girls go to the toilet more often because they have no balls to store pee. That's Charlie Kirk. He's got a small face. Like, it is too small for his head, but it's not that small in reality. Point is that Charlie Kirk is kind of a, he's toxic. He's not a good dude. He's got like really, really harmful beliefs and ideals and is just all the way around really not a good person in my experience. But back to what we were saying, back to this article. Take Charlie Kirk, the founder of right-wing group Turning Point USA, who angrily tweeted, "Chick-fil-A betrayed us after we stood by them for years during every attack and controversy. Despite this, they announced they will no longer support Christian organizations. Even worse, it has come out they support the Southern Poverty Law Center. No more Chick-fil-A ever." Well, guess what? The rest of the world is going to support Chick-fil-A. We don't need a tiny group of extremists to support the right thing. I would love it if everybody would get on board with the right thing, but it's just not going to happen. So that's okay with me. I don't need Charlie Kirk's endorsement or support. That's fine with me. Kirk called on fellow conservatives to boycott the company. His former Turning Point colleague, Benny Johnson, echoed his rhetoric. "This is true. When you eat at Chick-fil-A, your dollars support abortion and leftist hate." Oh my God. This is just... Where did that come from? That's like way out of left field. Anyway, but as Raw Story notes, the hypocrisy was obvious. This is a quote from Raw Story. While many conservatives replied to Kirk to support his angst over the ideological heresies of a fast food chain, many other followers responded by mocking the right-wing activist for being a snowflake who's trying to cancel a private business over political differences. The exact thing that he complains about left-wingers doing. Oh my God, cancel culture. Just can't cancel. Can't have this company exist because they're supporting this people. That's what he claims cancel culture, the left-wingers are doing. Just all the left-wingers. Well, guess what? That's exactly what he's doing. So, nice hypocrisy there, buddy. This stuff just kills me. It's just rife with hypocrisy. Chick-fil-A did the right thing, so I'm going to eat there. I'm not sure when, sometime between now and the day I die, but I will, just to support this move. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I'm trying to make a shirt design for every cult I've covered. I haven't gotten every one, but I'm working on it. So check it out and see if your cult is up there. Second, you can support me by checking out my game shop. I sell controller, cartridge, and game box stands for every system from the original Nintendo and Sega Game Gear to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So give that a look too. And finally, if you want to support me in some way other than monetarily, you can check out my other YouTube channels. I have a retro game channel where I answer questions like, why does Shy Guy have a mask? And why are CRT TVs the best way to play retro games? I also have the podcast where I talk about stuff I don't feel I can say on a monetized channel. And finally, I have my main channel where I talk about cults. I wish I didn't have to worry about dancing around subjects carefully in the first place, but I chose to do this as a full-time job, so unfortunately, I rely on YouTube's AdSense and on the support of patrons to continue doing the work I do. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.